And welcome back to the I Prefer the 80s and 90s Sports podcast where I talk about why I, Richard Harris, prefer the sports of the 80s and 90s to today. Today's topic is a very obvious topic, and it's just a topic I just wanted to talk about. And that's money. Money is the root. It's not the root of all evil, but it is the root of everything to do with sports. Because in the 80s and 90s, athletes made money. But they didn't make this kind of money that they make today. Today we are on a level of money making that puts athletes up there with, like, not even world leaders, like even higher than world leaders in terms of how much money they allegedly are making. And not only that, so are the TV networks, so are the teams, and the connection between the fans and the players and the teams is so far apart sometimes, and it's frustrating, but they truly don't really give a rat's behind about us. And I'm going to tell you several reasons why I say that. Firstly, today, the Jets are playing Miami, I think, on a pay-per-view channel that a lot of people don't have. They moved Thursday Night Football to a channel that a lot of people don't have. The sports world has decided that forget about you at home. You're not important. We're important. You need to go to us if you want to enjoy our product. And to me, that's backwards. Now, we've gone from, in the early 80s, 70s, from tape delay to pay-per-view to you can't watch it unless you got this channel to oversaturation of those channels to make us buy them. And if we don't buy them, we don't get to see them. And it makes me laugh. And it has permeated sports throughout, professional and the college ranks. In the college ranks, they're like, you know what? Let's have tournaments where teams are going all over the world to play them. And we're going to put them on during the holidays. We're going to put them on whenever we want to put them on, just to get people to watch our sport, which is fine. But teams aren't prepared. Teams are not ready to play some of these games. And teams' seasons are hurt because of some of these games. But that's not my point. It's the money. It's the money that makes all of these schools who play these tournaments and are not necessarily prepared to play them, but the money makes them play them. And the money makes us all watch these games, whether they're good or bad. Think about the NFL yesterday. The NFL yesterday, the tradition in the 80s and 90s was there was two games. The Lions played one, the Cowboys played the other one. And even though I'm not a Cowboy fan or a Lions fan, we watched because they were the only two games online, or only two games on television. Then ESPN said, man, wait a minute. Let's put a college football game on and see how that works. And so I used to have Thanksgiving dinner with a friend and his lovely girlfriend at the time, wife, well, now divorced, and it was the Egg Bowl, Mississippi versus Mississippi State. And on Friday, CBS would always play Arkansas versus LSU. Not happening this year. Missouri's playing Arkansas. And the Egg Bowl went on last night, and I, in tradition, watched the Egg Bowl. Money. They went to the schools and probably said, who wants to play on Thanksgiving Day? And some schools said, I don't really want to, maybe Friday. But, all right. We will watch. All right, we'll play. And Mississippi State play every Thanksgiving night. So then NFL said, whoa, wait a second. We are not giving up that day for college football. So we're going to play not only a day game, a dinner game for the East Coast, and then for the West Coast, we're going to throw y'all in the game too. We're going to put one on Sunday Night Football, but we're going to put it on Thursday. So y'all get to have dinner with your game. While the East Coast people are sleeping because of the tryptophan, the West Coast people, we get to have a game. You know why? Because of money. Money is so bad in sports today that the commissioner of the NBA has to put a mandate in the NBA that says to the players that the only way you can win an MVP award, the only way you can qualify from some of your incentives or whatever, is you got to play at least 65% of the games. And it makes me laugh that they have to beg the players to play. And then the NBA said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put in an in-season basketball tournament, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, where essentially you're going to be relegated to play against 6 teams or 4 teams or 5 teams, whatever, and everyone has to play unless they are really hurt. I mean, like doctor's note, his doctor's note, his cousin Ray Ray's note, owners, like you got to be out. You can't sit out the game because of load management that they've been doing for the last decade or so. And it's hilarious to me that they have to pay them or beg them to play and make them play. And they don't care about us. We go out and, I mean, I've gotten smarter over the years where I buy tickets from a site and my ticket prices are cheap. I've been seeing basketball games for the Clippers. I went to a Chargers game for under $50, like 3 times. I've seen USC and UCLA play, both under $50, under $40 each time. And so I feel like I'm I am contributing, but I'm not the fool that's paying $1,000 to sit on the floor. In fact, at the USC and UCLA games I've been to, the USC game, the guy who sold me the tickets messed up, and so the ticket company that he sold it through basically gave me a seat damn near field level. And the UCLA game, I mean, no one goes to these games, so I got to I had to sit in my section, but I kind of sat where I wanted to sit. The Clippers, I went one time and somebody walked up to me and said, "Do you like your seat?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You want a better one?" And I said, "Yeah." And he walked me down to court. The Chargers, there's no bad seat in that stadium because they got the big old jumbotron screen that covers the whole field. So, and the way the seats are slanted down, you can watch all of everything. And that's what I did. But it's money. We pay the tickets. The players don't care that we play the tickets. The players don't care because if they feel like they can't play, they won't play. And that is because of the money. My man from the Golden State Warriors, Andrew Wiggins. They said, "Andrew, you're not going to get a COVID shot? It's going to cost you, you're missing $800,000 a game." And Andrew Wiggins said, "So, it ain't your money. What do you care?" And the person who asked the question in the media was like, He didn't know how to respond to that. That's the mentality. When you're getting paid over $20 million a season, $10 million a season, you don't care what anybody thinks. You get paid $1 million a season. You don't care what we think. And I'm not saying the players in the 80s and 90s were any different, but the players in the 80s and 90s, at least they played. At least it was not an issue as to why, the who, the what, the where was going to play. It's like that great Seinfeld episode where somebody gives Elaine tickets to see Bette Midler, and she gives it to the ladies who are, as a tip for doing her nails and stuff like that. And they got the understudy. They didn't get Bette Midler. So it's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome so and so and so and so. Bette Midler is not playing tonight." So it's like you go to the games today and they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight Anthony Davis is not playing. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight Damian Lillard is not playing." And you laugh because you say to yourself, Michael Jordan played in a 10-year stretch one time, 9 out of 10 years of all 82 games. Michael Jordan was 40. He played all 82 games. But when you're making stupid money, you don't care what anybody thinks. And it's even permeated college. College football players from this day forward, meaning literally November 24th forward, who are eligible for the NFL draft next year, will be sitting at home with their parents, with an agent, with their coach, with their mentors, their best friend, their girlfriends, their wives, and say, "Do I play in a bowl game?" Do I play in a bowl game? Now, people who don't know what that means is essentially what has happened over the last decade, well, the last 5 years, is that well, actually, it's happened a lot. A lot of football players have been afraid to play in that bowl game if they've made it through the season because they don't want to get injured before they have to try out for the NFL, which happens, oh, I don't know, 6 months later. And so they decide not to play. And so basically they're like, so you get to the bowl game, and unless you're playing for the championship, the players are like, do I want to play? And some players say no. And it's because of money. I bring this up every year. I think about this conversation. I think about his name was Vada Murray. Vada Murray was definitely going to be a first round NFL draft pick as a safety in the 80s. And his very last game, the traditional Michigan Ohio State game, he ripped his knee and he never got drafted. And ever since then, it's always been in my head when this time of the year comes around whether or not players want to play in a bowl game. Because I think of him playing in a game that wasn't a bowl game and him tearing his knee and getting hurt. But thinking about other players who decided that, you know what, it's not worth playing the bowl game. Yeah, I want to be there for my team. I want to be, I want to be a leader. I want to be, you know, with my guys. But they say no because they don't want to lose out on that money. And the funny thing is, I won't say a lot, but a few players didn't even get drafted where they were supposed to be drafted or where they were allegedly supposed to be drafted. And so the money thing, now players get, what do you call it? Life, they get insurance policies, so that way they're covered when they're done. I'm not saying none of this stuff is bad or stupid. I'm just saying money just drives everything in sports today as opposed to the sports drive the sports. I mean, the reason why we have a football game on, pro football game today is what? This is traditionally college football's day where you get Oregon State. You used to get Nebraska and Oklahoma when they were in the same conference. You used to get, like I said, LSU against Arkansas. You used to get certain games that you look forward to. Now you sort of like look at the TV and you're like, okay, Boston calls Miami. That was a good game on Thanksgiving, I believe, Thanksgiving weekend when Doug Flutie threw the touchdown to beat Miami. I believe that was a Friday on a Thanksgiving weekend. But my whole point of this little speech I'm giving is everything in sports is driven by money. Now we have baseball, and I'll be brief about baseball. Shohei Ohtani is possibly about to become a $500 million man. Even though he can't pitch a whole season, even though having him on your team doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win games, he's a spectacle. He's the quote unquote unicorn of baseball. Ronald Acuna, who just won an MVP in the National League and someday is going to garner a $400 million check, maybe $500 million paycheck, because he's going to every year up the ante with the stolen base and the home run thing he does. And then there are other players who, before them, meaning like someone like Mike Trout or Bryce Harper, got paid. Lindor for the Mets got a $300 million deal. You got Pete Alonso for the Mets. His contract comes up next year as well. Pete Alonso hits 50 home runs a year, but the Mets don't win. But no owner cares about winning. Owners care about putting people in the seats. And they don't care about you and me. They're going to raise the prices so they can say that's how we pay keep Pete Alonso and keep him here. And Met fans are going to say, okay, we got a $300 million man in Lindor. We're going to have a $300 million man or more in Pete Alonso. And oh, by the way, we ain't going to win a world championship. We're going to be sitting at home watching the Yankees or watching other teams get paid. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton for the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton got that big contract with the Marlins, and then they traded him to the Yankees. And now Aaron Judge just got the big contract with the Yankees. It's money. And so I'll conclude by saying this. It blows my mind that this country, every day I keep hearing about people complaining about the economy, complaining about inflation, complaining about price of food, price of gas, price of this, price of that. And I'm like, don't y'all understand or see that all these industries have high prices because they see how other industries are increasing their money? The entertainment industry, to have a strike for over 100 days, and yeah, it affected more the people who are not the really well-known actors, the up-and-coming people, but the big guys didn't care about the strike. I mean, they cared, in public, but in private, what? Do you think Tom Cruise, with the billions of dollars that he has, is sitting at home thinking about me? I mean, they said George Clooney and a group of people wanted to get together and put money in a fund to try to help actors, during the time period, which is pretty cool. But the fact of the matter is, the majority of them was having a good time in private oases or writing stuff, knowing and believing that the strike was going to end some point somehow, and they'd go back to making their millions, and we'd go back to watching it like it was nothing happened. Money. Money, 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 money. And now college kids can make money. The college kids can go to college, and if the local gas company wants to use them for a commercial, they get to use them for a commercial. Now, if Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, Domino's Pizza wants to put the best college basketball player in their commercial, they can get paid that money. Now, if a kid is being recruited, it's not, okay, what you gonna do for my son in terms of making him a man or a woman? You're going to protect them. You're going to nurture them. You're going to coach them. You're going to make sure they go to class. It's now, what are you going to do for my son to make sure that he can always fly home for Christmas, to make sure he has money all the time, to make sure that his life at college is better than it is at home? I talked to a parent and she said, we've got to find out what the school is offering. And I'm not talking about, econ classes or business management or leisure studies. I'm talking about money. To be able to survive, buy himself new shoes, new clothes, pay for his own airport ticket home. That's part of the package deal now. And so as a father of a 14-year-old girl, I'm like, yo, I wish I could get my daughter to get into sports, but I ain't going to force her to get into sports. But if becoming an artist or whatever she specializes in gets her a college scholarship, I'm more power to it. But the bottom line is, money has changed everything in sports. It goes the hierarchy goes money, owners, players, owners, then us. Even though we're the ones that help give them their money to make them be able to pay the players, the sponsors give them money to help pay for the TV contract and the players. And we haven't even scratched the surface. The new television deal, for all the sports are going to be pretty soon in the trillions. And then the owners are going to really have money. All so we can watch them play. Isn't that funny? And we hope they do play. We ain't got no guarantees that they will.